الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أن تقولوا إنما أنزل الكتاب على طائفتين من قبلنا وإن كنا عن دراستهم لغافلين صدق الله مولانا العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have revealed this kitab and it is very blessed, very mubarak, very barakatful. Obey this kitab, Quraan Majid, and have righteousness, taqwa, so you will be treated with mercy and rahmat. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we revealed this kitab because tomorrow you shouldn't say that kitab was revealed onto two groups before us, and we were unaware from the learning of kitab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing mushrikeen of Makkah Mukarramah, because there was two nations before us, Al-Yahud and Wan-Nasara, and they were known as people of book, people of kitab. So if Quran was not revealed, then mushrikeen of Makkah, they used to look for excuses. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, tomorrow you will come out with an excuse that we have not received any kitab like Al-Yahud and Al-Nasara. They were given kitab. Al-Yahud were given Tawrat, and Al-Nasara, they were given Injil. They were given kitab. We are not given kitab. So we are unaware from the kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed kitab onto Al-Yahud, Tawrat, and onto Al-Nasara, Injil. We also deserve kitab. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't reveal kitab onto us? The way they were treated with kitab, why we are not being treated with kitab? The way they read and learned kitab, if we had kitab, we would have also learned the kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We would have also accepted haqq by the kitab. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, tomorrow you have no excuse. You don't turn and say that the way Yahud and Nasara received kitab, we didn't receive kitab. If we had kitab, we had learned it like Al-Yahud and Al-Nasara. So tomorrow you don't come back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't come back to Islam, you don't come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you don't come with this excuse that why we are not being treated with kitab, why kitab is not revealed unto us, why we have no opportunity to learn kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that that's why we are revealing this kitab, which is very mubarak. Quraan Majid, and as ta'ifatain, according to this word ta'ifatain, two groups, Yahud and Nasara. These were the two very major nations, from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam to Islam, to the arrival of Islam. These were two major nations. And they were given kitab, and their Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, they were from the ulul azmi min ar-rusul. They were very high ranking prophets. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that tomorrow mushrikeen will have this excuse that why Yahud are being honored with kitab, why Al-Nasara, they are being respected with kitab, they are being treated with kitab, So it is their speciality. It is exclusive treatment to them. Why not us? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that's why we reveal Quran, that tomorrow you don't have an excuse. Tomorrow, they used to look for an excuse to disobey, to not accept haqq. They used to look for excuse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that's why we reveal. And Yahud and Nasara, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bring us back to Quran and Sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us back to Quran and Sunnah. Quran, the order of the Quran starts from Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran, and that's how it goes. And that's how it is. It is the guidance for mankind till the day of Qiyamah. Now people who are believing into Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared them. First two surah, Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran. These two surah, they are like sisters. They are called Zahrawain. They are two sisters. They have these two surahs, they have similarities. And what similarities they have? They are bringing the ailments and disease of the previous nations. What types of disease they had? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned all those diseases of them into these two surahs. One surah is presenting one nation, and another surah is presenting another nation. Surah Baqarah brings all the ill attitudes of al-Yahud. Surah Baqarah brings all ill qualities of al-Yahud, their arrogance, their rebellions towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards their kitab, towards their nabi, and how they showed their ill qualities, towards the haqq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned it with very detail into Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah mainly talks about al-Yahud, and Surah Al-Imran mainly talks about An-Nasara. An-Nasara, what type of disease they had, what type of ill qualities they had, how they overbelieved or how they underbelieved, or what types of attitudes they showed towards the revelation. That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned into Surah Al-Imran. So Muslims, and especially when it will come to the end of the time, people of haqq, they will have clash between themselves and between these two major nations. They will have clash. So, and majority of the clash, the ghalib clash between us and between people of falsehood, it will be between Muslims and between these people of books. These two people of books. All the time. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, initially he had a clash between himself and mushriki. But from the time he made hijrat to Medina Munawwara, then the major clash came from them. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, prophesied about the Roman Empire. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam prophesied about Herakle, Rome. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam prophesied about their capital, Qustuntuniya. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said many things. So, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam also had clash between himself and these people of book. And when this earth will come to the end of the time, again there will be major clash between haqq and batil. And in this major clash, it will be between the same people of haqq and same people of falsehood. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believer of Quran, they are so fortunate. Believer of Quran, they are so fortunate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a very beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned all the ill qualities of people of Tawrat And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned all the ill qualities of people of Injil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned all the disease of Al-Yahud and all the disease of An-Nasara from the very beginning of the Quran. This ummah was prepared from the beginning of the Quran. But unfortunately, this ummah is very unfamiliar with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This Quran is Mubarak. This Quran is guidance. This Quran guides you into the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this Quran guides you into all times and into end of the time, and not only at the end of the time, after the end of the time, eternally. This is eternal guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us back to Quran and Sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us back to Quran and Sunnah. So today we have recited only one ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we reveal this Quran, which is very Mubarak, and which is having guidance. Obey this Quran and have righteousness. If you take the barakat of this Quran, if you obey this Quran, if you have righteousness from the Quran, then Allah will treat you with rahmat and mercy. Individually or collectively, if you are connected to this Quran, then rahmat is your taqdeer. Rahmat is your taqdeer. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed this Quran for the whole mankind. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing mushrikeen of Makkah, that tomorrow you must not say that why we are not being given kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we are giving you this kitab. Tomorrow you don't come and say that Yahud were given kitab and Nasara were given kitab. Why can't we have kitab? That's why you don't come out with this excuse. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is treating you with kitab. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala connect us to Quran and Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us under the daylight of Quran and Sunnah. Inshallah.